What's up, and welcome to the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. I'm your host, Kat Kozad, manifestation expert, money mindset and fulfillment coach, and multiple six-figure entrepreneur. Come sit with me while I spill the real tea on what it's like to practice using intentional manifestation, demystify all of the woo-woo and confusing bullshit that comes along with creating the life of your dreams, and give you a realistic view of what it's like to be on a personal, spiritual, and professional growth journey. The goal of this podcast is to support and guide you towards manifesting all of your dreams, shed light on the things that people are too scared to talk about, and encourage you to become the person who gets to have it all, be it all, and do it all. I am so happy you are here. Let's fucking do this thing. What's up, loves? Welcome back to another episode of the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. Holy shit, this episode right here marks the 1 year of the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. Today is our anniversary, so honestly, I've been pretty emotional about this because this podcast, hands down, is one of my greatest manifestations. This podcast has been something that consistently has brought me so much joy and so much connection over the past year. It has been so beautiful to connect with all of the women who have reached out to me, who listen to the show via Instagram, and work with so many of the women who have listened to the podcast. And it's just been so fucking amazing. Like, nothing short of incredible. So this podcast episode is going to be short and sweet, but I just wanted to, first of all, kick this episode off with the biggest thank you. The biggest fucking thank you to all of you who are here listening to the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. I couldn't have done what I've done with the podcast in the past year if it wasn't for all of you. You are what makes the podcast what it is. So if you've been here from day one, you came along somewhere in the journey, or this is your first episode that you're ever listening to of the No Bullshit Manifestation Show, know that from the bottom of my heart, I am so ridiculously grateful for you. I am sending you all of my love, and I truly, truly, truly just, I hardly even have the words for it. It's mind-blowing to me how much support and just like love I've received from starting this podcast. So with that being said, what I want to do on this podcast episode is just give you a little bit of an overview of what the past year has looked like with the No Bullshit Manifestation Show and in my life and what has manifested, so that you can see what is possible for you in 1 year of your life if you choose to commit to your dreams, your desires, and what it is that your soul is calling you towards. So in 1 year of the No Bullshit Manifestation Show, we have released 75 episodes, have had 26 guests, have had over 80,000 downloads across all platforms, have received 85 reviews on Apple Podcasts, and honestly, so many more fucking incredible stats, so many more incredible things. And like I said, all of this has happened in 1 year. 1 year ago, it was like the very last week of July of 2021. I was visiting New York City before I moved there, and I had the intuitive download to start this podcast. I was at the bar. I was at a bar. I was at like a club in Soho, and I was getting a drink from the bar, and a girl stood next to me, and we started chatting, and she told me that she worked for People magazine and that the most famous person that she had met was Emma Watson. And it was like in that moment that I knew that I needed to start the podcast. And it was because I had just like so much excitement about being connected to other people. And at that time, something I felt like I was lacking in my business was depth and connection to other people. Because at that time, yes, you could connect with me. Yes, you could know what I was about, but it was through Instagram posts and it was through Facebook posts and it was through like 2,000 characters or whatever, how many characters you can write on an Instagram post. And like, that wasn't enough for me. That was not enough for me because I crave depth. I crave connection. I crave intimacy. That is like the most important thing to me in my life. And that's what I wanted to give to all of you. And in that conversation, in that moment, and in the moments following it, I just knew that like that is what I was supposed to do, that this podcast was supposed to be birthed. So within weeks, that was the end of July, and then we launched the podcast on September 8th of 2021. So literally within weeks, I bought all of the equipment. I started scheduling guest interviews, putting together the branding, making intros, all of that stuff, and launched the podcast literally a week into living in New York City. And at that time, honest to God, I was like a frazzled mess. I was so fucking excited to be living in New York City. But looking back on it now, it is so wild to see how changing my environment from cute little Colorado, like so chilled out, so safe, to big, expansive, electric, exciting New York City, that to my nervous system and to what I was trying to get adjusted to on a daily basis was so fucking overwhelming. And it was always so nice to have the podcast to center myself back into. The podcast was always something that brought me home to myself, because this act in and of itself is just where I get to pour my heart and soul out of myself and into this microphone right here. But at the time, it was a completely different microphone. And part of being the frazzled mess was like, I had this shitty little microphone that had so much static and so much feedback. So I literally would have to make like homemade tents with like blankets and a rod in the middle of a table to minimize the static that otherwise was going to be picked up. And it's so hilarious to me now, looking back at that time, how frazzled I was, how overwhelmed I was, because as you've heard me say on the No Bullshit Manifestation Show many a times, positive change hardly ever feels positive at the get-go. So starting the podcast, not gonna lie, there were moments where I was completely discouraged when I had released a new episode and it only got 50 downloads, or I released something and it didn't get the attention that I desired for it to have, or when I got my first 1-star review. Any of those things. It was definitely challenging at the get-go, because positive change never feels positive at the get-go. But as I continued to commit to it, and as I continued to pour my heart and soul into this and hold the vision of the fact that this was going to be the vehicle that created all of that connection, all of that depth that I desired to have in my life, then like that is exactly what manifested from that point, because that's the reality of this. When we are manifesting something into our lives, it's not a matter of if it's going to manifest, it's a matter of when. And when you are consistent with what it is that you want, that thing is going to absolutely show up. So holding yourself in that vision, holding yourself in that vibration, holding yourself in that knowing and trust, even when your external circumstances aren't reflecting what it is that you want, that is how you manifest the things that you desire into your life. And so as the year progressed, and as I got more settled in New York and traveling all around the US, traveling to different countries, I traveled so fucking much this year. We'll do a whole other podcast episode on that, because I set the intention in January of 2022 that I would travel every single month of the year. And oh my God, have I traveled every single month of this year many a times. But as I really got into my flow with all of that, more and more inspiration for the podcast flowed through me, and more people came on board. And this podcast has made such a massive impact because of that. And now where I'm living in London currently, and there's just been so much more inspiration that has come through for the podcast, for this brand, for the impact that I desire to make, and for what we can all manifest together. And with all of that being said, whatever it is that you desire, whatever it is that your heart is trying to pull you towards, it is not there by mistake. It is not a coincidence that you feel those things. The reason that you have those intuitive pulls, you have those nudges, is because your soul incarnated into this human body to manifest that experience. You are the unique individual who was placed in this human body to live out that experience. So I am here to tell you that your dreams are not too big. Anything that you want for yourself and for your life was perfectly made for you. So anytime you feel discouraged, anytime it feels as though it would be easier to give up, anytime it feels as though it'd be better to go with what everybody else is doing instead of following what it is that you want, remember that the things that you desire the most, your heart's desires, are not a mistake. They are here for a fucking reason. So allow yourself to follow those impulses, follow those nudges. Take the fucking risk. Take the fucking risk. I know that it's scary, but that is what is going to lead you to whatever it is that you desire in this life. Pursue whatever it is that you desire the most unconditionally. And that's exactly what I've done. And that is what I can attribute the success that I have seen in my life in such a short amount of time, the satisfaction, the fulfillment, the peace, the trust, the confidence to, is the fact that I have taken a risk on myself. I've bet on myself every single time, even and especially when it didn't make sense to. And through that, I've manifested so many incredible things. So get ready for so many more badass, powerful, abundant as fuck, and no bullshitty things in the second year of the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. We are only just getting started over here. I'm so fucking excited to see what is going to manifest in this next year of the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. And with that being said, I want to know what you all want to hear on this show. I want to know what you want in terms of guest interviews, in terms of topics, in terms of whatever. I want to know what you desire the most out of this podcast, because like I said, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. If it wasn't for you who is on the other side of this, listening to this podcast episode right now, I wouldn't be here, and this podcast wouldn't be here without you. So this is about you as much as it is about me. So if you haven't already connected with me on Instagram, you'll find the link to my Instagram profile down below in the show notes, but you can also search at Kat Kozadd, KATCOZADD, and please send me a message about what you've loved so far on the podcast, what you would like more of on the podcast, any ideas that you have, any topics you want me to cover, any questions that you have, so that I can truly make this podcast as incredible and as you need it to be, for you as you need it to be, as you want it to be, because truly, this is about you guys. So again, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me make the No Bullshit Manifestation Show what it is today. I fucking love you. And I am so excited to see what we get to manifest together in this next year. If you listen to the podcast, if you love the podcast, please, for our 1-year anniversary, go do me the favor of leaving a review for the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Leaving a written review literally takes, let's say, 30 to 90 seconds. It can take a bit longer than that, but at minimum, it takes literally 30 seconds. So if you would take that time out of your day today to leave a review for the No Bullshit Manifestation Show, it would mean the absolute world to me. It would be the greatest gift for our 1-year anniversary. And with that being said, I love y'all so fucking much, and I will chat with you on the next podcast episode. Oh my gosh, thank you for listening to today's episode. I am so grateful to have these no bullshit talks with you. If you enjoyed today's episode or the podcast as a whole, please spread the love by leaving me a review on iTunes or sharing the podcast with others. This is how I will be able to spread more of these good vibes and be able to make more of an impact on the lives of others. And if you're not already part of all of the goodness and communities that I have to offer, check out the show notes. I have links to the different ways that I can support you on your manifestation journey and help you live a life full of more money, fulfillment, and freedom. But that is all for now. So big love and hugs, and I will chat with you soon, babe.